14 days to election 2020. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News.
Wearing masks can save lives.
COVID-19 still exists. Wear your mask. And this bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios. Here in Kokomlemle is our digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including A1 Radio in Bogatanga, Kekeli Radio in Ho. We're around the world at myjoyonline.com. In this edition, Electoral Commission comes under criticism after publishing details of 17 million Ghanaians online ahead of the polls.
I think that everybody should give in a unique password so that each and everybody can access his or his name online personally.
We have details as the Data Protection Commission says the EC has not breached any law. Also in this bulletin.
Went to
the Edra Government Hospital, and what we saw there, some of our friends who were involved in an accident.
7 of NDC supporters in the Western and Ashanti regions dead as they engaged in campaign activities. We'll hear from the Road Safety Commission, which is asking the two main parties to adhere to the Road Safety Code of Conduct they signed. In sports,
CAF President Ahmad, banned by FIFA for 5 years, will find out the implications on next year's presidential elections and African football.
We have that and more in this edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company. Please stay for details shortly. And this is your election headquarters, proudly brought to you by Petrosol. This afternoon, some Ghanaians are raising issues with the decision of the Electoral Commission to publish their voter registration details online. According to some of them who spoke to Joy News, they are dismayed that their private information, include age, is out there on the internet. The Electoral Commission of the weekend published the full voters roll on its website, but since that publication, a section of the society have criticized the move, saying it breaches sections of the data protection law, whilst others have jumped to the defense of the EC, saying it is within their mandate to do so. Let's take a listen.
Yes, there are some people that they want their names to be hidden, their age and stuff. You understand? So you putting it online will be a problem for them. Yeah.
I don't have any problem with. The people are complaining.
It's my own secret. Yeah.
That everybody can access anyone's password, anyone's name and location, which is not good. I think that everybody should give in a unique password so that each and everybody can access his or his name online personally.
Some of your views on that latest decision by the Electoral Commission. But according to executive producer of the Data Protection Commission, Patricia Edusei-Poku, although the Electoral Commission did not breach the data protection law in publishing the voters register online, it should have informed the people involved. Patricia Edusei-Poku noted that the EC should have also referenced the law that allowed it to publish the data. We can listen to Patricia Edusei-Poku. She's executive director of the Data Protection Commission.
So any institution that has a legal mandate to process personal data should, at the point of collection, explain that legal mandate. And the other term that we have for that explanation is giving a privacy notice. And this is a notice that you would give to the public to explain what you can and cannot do with the data, what the law allows you to be able to do with the data. I understand from the Electoral Commission that they have in their act the mandate to actually publish the information after it's collated. I think the public outcry is because the reference to the legal mandate was not made in the publication. So we've had the discussion, and and I will advise other institutions to toe the same line. If you have a legal basis on which you process the data, that you, first of all, at the point of collection, let your data subjects become aware that you have that mandate. And secondly, for the actual publication or the documentation that you produce, you must put the reference on the document.
That's Patricia Eduse-Poku, the Executive Director of the Data Protection Commission. Well, the Chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Stephen Ade, has lauded the Electoral Commission on their management of the polls so far. Although the Commission has come under criticism in the discharge of some of its duties, Professor Ade says the EC must be commended. He spoke to Daniel Dazi in a yet-to-be-aired episode of On the Record on Joy Prime TV.
I think that this is going to be the cleanest of all elections. And thanks to the EC, despite everybody else, I think the EC has done a yeoman's job. What has been done is excellent. Registered 17 million people under COVID, promising that within 24 hours, this idea of electronic ones, which can be manipulated, he says no. What is signed is going to be the one which is used. It's going to be transparent.
You heard that the Chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Stephen Ade, there speaking in a yet-to-be-aired interview on the record on Joy Prime TV. For now, the Electoral Commission is unable to speak to us on this issue, but we know that there's a scheduled press conference to address these issues. We'll get back into the election headquarters at this point, brought to you by Petro So-called. The National Road Safety Commission is asking all political parties, particularly the governing NPP and the opposition NDC, to adhere to the Road Safety Code of Conduct they signed to avert further road accidents. The call comes after 6 NDC supporters died and several others injured at Frante in the Ashanti region last Saturday as they traveled to Ijura to meet their candidate, John Mahama. Here's an eyewitness and Mr. Mahama addressing supporters on the matter.
Kabuka was sent people from there to come for the rally down at just and it was unfortunate when the car moved about 200 meters or 300 meters. There was a pothole there, so the driver was trying to dodge the pothole, and then incidentally, the weight of the people in the cargo car overweighed the lorry, and then it just got down. That was actually what happened there.
Eti Yeremwa and your call Ejura Government Hospital. Na nia yeko hu wo ho no. Echese ye nuanom a kan kwehia esi ye na.
Went to the Ejura Government Hospital, and what we saw there, some of our friends who were involved in an accident. Some of them have lost their lives and others injured. I had wanted us to call off this rally, but our national chairman told me, looking at the crowd gathered here, it was not the best thing to do. So we have to go ahead and use this to honor the memories of those who have passed on.
As if that was not enough, just yesterday, another NDC supporter in Ilembele met his death on a road crash as he campaigned for the party. Western Regional Correspondent Inatalia Kwanza has the details.
Over 20 supporters of the NDC in the Ilembele district of the Western region have suffered varying degrees of injuries after a driver of a commercial vehicle ran into them on Sunday. The party supporters from 3 communities were embarking on a walk, but midway into their walk, the commercial driver ran into them, generating a pandemonium. 12 of the supporters are in critical condition, whilst 1 have lost her life. Contacting Public Relations Officer of the NDC in the Western region, Kek Mesa, he alleges that it was a deliberate attempt by the NPP.
Well, the Road Safety Authority, which had come out with a safety code of conduct to which the political parties appended their signatures, says the death could have been averted to a large extent if the parties had ensured adherence to the code. Listen to Engineer David Osafo-Adonting. He's Director Planning and Programs.
It is important that this time round we bring in our political parties, their leadership and all, in a manner that they can champion and promote road safety within their rank and file, all the way from the leadership to their supporters. We are asking the flag bearers to make statements, to abide by the rules and regulations together with their supporters, because the National Road Safety Authority has already met them. We organized a forum for them last week. They came. We all discussed the risk they take when they go in for their rallies. when they go for their campaigns, how they pass people from their various origins to their destinations. You are aware that just Saturday, a particular party, and NDC in particular, lost 7 of their members or supporters through road traffic crash. And the circumstances leading to the crash is one of the key things we discussed. When they pack people in tipper trucks and the buckets of pickups, it is not acceptable. It is not right. It is even against the road traffic regulations. So we're saying that let us use these guidelines that we have given them, the political parties, so that they appoint road safety champions, road safety officers within their midst to guide their in and out.
But with the circumstance, under the circumstance, is the authority able to compel them to do what you ask them to do?
In fact, that is the difficulty and that is the challenge, because what we have prepared, developed and given them, it's not backed by law. It is not itself a law. It is a guide. Well, maybe in the near future, we may want to develop it into something that can enter the law space within Ghana so that we can compel them to comply with. But at the moment, it takes goodwill for them to accept the challenge.
That's Engineer David Osafo Adontin, Director Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority. Remember to arrive alive, and it's brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority with support from Toyota Ghana, Logistics Love Movers, and then Joy News Drive Safe campaign. Let's hit the campaign trail now. And it's exactly 2 weeks to the general elections, and the candidates have been crisscrossing the country, making a final push for votes for December 7. We'll hear from the presidential candidates, but first, here's Deputy Head of the Joy News Political Desk, Winston Amwa, with an update.
The Electoral Commission says it has so far dispatched majority of the materials required for the polls: ballot boxes, thumbprint pads, stationery, identification jackets, polling station booth, rechargeable lamps, indelible ink, educational posters, seals, among others, are already in the regions for onward distribution to polling stations. There are 17 million registered voters expected to cast their ballot. 74,800 biometric verification devices will be in use on election day. 233,632 temporary officials have been recruited, trained and equipped to work for the Commission on the day. They will work as returning officers, presiding officers, verification officers, name reference officers, as well as COVID-19 ambassadors.
And we hit the ground now, and the candidates have been holding rallies and other campaigns as they canvass for vote. Elton Brobe is with President Akufo-Addo in his home region, Eastern. Well, President Akufo-Addo expressed the optimism the governing NPP will win 1 million votes, and 30 out of the 33 seats in the Eastern region have been speaking. Listen to him.
We have laid the foundation for the future prosperity of Ghana. The new patriotic party has the blueprint for the development of our country. By the end of my second term, that matter will be settled. 2016,
Now, my colleague Maxwell Agwagba is in the Upper East region where he's been following John Mahama's campaign. Here's his report.
An Asawasi constituency health walk in memory of party founder and former president Jerry John Rawlings was the last activity that ended NDC presidential candidate John Mahama's tour of the Ashanti region. His message, especially in some mining communities, focused on freeing persons jailed for galamsey as part of the mining sector reform. He said the NDC will improve the free senior high school program, but will abolish the double track system within a year and rather focus on building more schools. In farming communities, he has been promising farmers free fertilizers. Part of his speech focused on corruption in the Bolga East constituency Sunday evening.
All you see is corruption. At the time we were in office, they tarred us with the brush of corruption, and they made so much noise about it. Today, the president is bathing in corruption because the allegations of corruption are of people close to him, and that's why I say he's bathing in it.
Sunday was the birthday of John Mahama's running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opukwajiman. This is how he celebrated her on the last day of his tour of the Ashanti region.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
That's Maxwell Lagbagba's report there. You're hearing John Dramani Mahama ending that report. We'll stay a while longer on the trail because this time the National Democratic Party is asking Ghanaians to disregard media reports suggesting the withdrawal of its presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings from the upcoming December 7 polls. Running mate to the NDP flag bearer Peter Asamoah observed that the party is focused on prosecuting its agenda for this year's election. The NDP is set to address the media later today, but there are speculations that the party would communicate its decision to withdraw from the elections. Listen to Peter Asamoah, running mate to Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings.
Categorically, that statement is false and it should be disregarded. Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Akufo-Addo Rawlings certainly has not withdrawn. She's still in the race, and currently the running mate and some few next members are on a national tour, and we are currently at Elembele now. So that is what I can say to that.
But sir, there were media reports suggesting that today's press conference is about announcing the withdrawal of your candidate, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings.
That is also not true. I'm surprised whoever is taking that information is spreading that information because we all know ballot specs have been printed already and nationwide distribution is even completed. So Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Akufo-Addo Rawlings cannot withdraw. So whoever is spreading that information is liable for spreading that false information. It should give us his source because the party structure has not issued any statement to that effect.
And you've checked with Nana Akufo-Addo when she says that she is still in the race.
I've checked with the party structure and it's not true.
But have you checked with the flag bearer?
I've checked with the party structure and it's not true.
That's Peter Asamoah, the presidential candidate, running mate for the NDP, speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson. We head now to the camp of the Progressive People's Party, and they say the administration would not witness any corruption should they be voted into power. Flag bearer Bridget Jogbenuku explains the PPP would make corruption unattractive, that none of its officers would be interested. Speaking on the AM show, Bridget Jogbenuku also accused government of deliberately under-resourcing the National Commission for Civic Education, reason why many Ghanaians are not adequately empowered and educated on national issues. Listen.
Let's start to move away from the idea that everybody will be corrupt. I won't. The PPP won't. We are saying that we will have an incorruptible government, and we want to put in the measures. If you ensure we had ensured that the special prosecutor's position, we call it the independent public prosecutor, if we had ensured that it was indeed truly independent, we would not have issues such as this. And we want to pursue that. I think that what has been in the governments of the past have enjoyed the, for lack of a better word, the ignorance of the Ghanaian in matters of politics. So that the less they know, the more dedicated they are. If the people are empowered to know who to vote for as president or as parliamentarian, even better. Right. We, the PPP, are about empowering the Ghanaian to be able to work and be prosperous and be successful within their own right.
PPP flag bearer Bridget Jogbenuku speaking on the AM show earlier today. And this is your election headquarters, brought to you by Petrosol. Now, health experts are faulting politicians for the increasing cases of COVID-19 as calls for rallies and mass gatherings to be avoided go unheeded. Ghana has recorded 157 new cases of COVID, bringing the total active cases to 1,146. Now, death stands at 323 and recoveries and discharges at 49,405. We'll hear from health experts, but first, listen to my colleague Maxwell Apawu as he describes how the NDC supporters are not adhering to the social distancing protocols.
It's day 2 of the NDC presidential candidates' visit to the Upper East region. We are heading to another location right now. Hundreds of residents yesterday, many of them wearing NDC t-shirts, welcomed John Mahama to the Upper East region. Many of them, without face masks, raised their 2 fingers in the air, indicating the position of the NDC on the ballot paper. At the venue for the community engagement, that's the Gambingu Community Park, social distancing became a problem as the numbers did not make it possible. Although members of the NDC campaign team and the presidential candidates were in face masks and also ensured that microphones were
regularly sanitized. Many of the residents were not wearing face masks. Some of them I've interacted with tell me they do not believe in the existence of coronavirus. Some of them also told me the non-availability of face masks in their community accounts for why they are not wearing one.
That's Masola Gbagba giving us the situation with NDC supporters and adherents to COVID-19 safety protocols. How about the camp of the NPP? Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe has been describing the situation to us.
Social distancing, what I've observed so far, I think it's becoming extremely difficult for the political parties and the handlers to handle it. But for the other protocols, like the wearing of face masks, for those in the presidential entourage, it's an obligation. You have to do it, otherwise you cannot pass. So that is pretty enforced. But for the supporters who usually come to some of these service and visit stops, I came across some of them wearing it. At Nkoko, at the Grow, and the other areas that we visited today. I also saw some people in the government entourage distributing face masks and hand sanitizers to supporters of the MPP who have come to witness the Zeba. I actually picked one of the hand sanitizers because mine had run out. So for social distancing, it is difficult to enforce, I must admit, because of the euphoria that usually surrounds some of these gatherings and the fact that you cannot control a crowd in a manner that you will win.
That's Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe. That's the situation with supporters of the two main political parties, lack of adherence to the social distancing protocols put in place and also other safety protocols for COVID-19. Well, the director of West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, Professor Godwin Awendere, says these rallies give cause for concern. He's been speaking on the probe on the Joy News channel.
Normally, we should still have restrictions in place and events like this should not be allowed at this point. But here we are, those who are supposed to enforce these rules are the ones who need to hold rallies and to meet with voters and campaign. So effectively, we've put aside the control measures for now, and we are basically doing whatever we want to do and hoping for the best. And I think it's really dangerous. In my opinion, even funerals should be put back under restrictions now. I think we should go back to having funerals and weddings limited to 100 people or something like that.
That's Professor Godwin Awendere. Remember that COVID-19 is real. You need to adhere to the safety protocols. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Also on myjoyonline.com. We're also on Facebook. You can leave your comments there. Our top stories: Electoral Commission comes under criticism after publishing details of 17 million Ghanaians online ahead of the election. We've also heard from the NDP rejecting claims that its flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, has withdrawn from this year's presidential race. We have more much later when we bring you live proceedings from that press conference. Still to come, we put the spotlight on the Savannah region in My Safe Votes campaign.
It is very rampant, very common, almost day in, day out. We hear cases about armed robbery.
This Bronya dear, we're going to make every moment special. Whether it's
I see you, Kipo.
There's more than enough drama series to bond over. There is something to keep you.
What are we doing today, man?
Endlessly entertained. You won't miss the action between.
Nobody will be better. Ronaldo or Messi.
You know, go fit rescue you from Auntie's questions. So
you said when you dey marry now.
That will give you ideas. Choose DSTV this holiday season and make it your moment for only 45 Ghana cedis per month. DSTV, it's your moment.
Fellow Ghanaians,
The stakes are high for our country this December. Don't stay home.
Remember, this election is about your future. Which of the candidates would you trust with managing our economy better? Which leader can give us free SHS and enhance the education of our children? Who can you trust to protect us during dark periods such as COVID-19? Who has the competence to protect our economy, build roads and dams?
Do you remember the dark periods of Doomsaw, Create, Loot and Share Brigade?
This December, remember we cannot afford the risk. Let's vote for Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP to protect our progress.
Thanks for staying with the best. Let's do sports. Enhancement Sando is in the studios.
Hello, Emefa.
Hi.
I've always been in the studio for sports.
Is in the studio, that one.
Confederation of African Football President Ahmad has been banned for 5 years by FIFA for breaching various codes of ethics. The 60-year-old vice president of world governing body FIFA has been found to have breached code relating to duty of loyalty, offering and accepting gifts, and abuse of position and misappropriation of funds. Gary Al-Smith assesses the implication on next year's CAF elections.
The ban of Ahmad brings two broad implications to African football. First of all, who is in charge? That person will be the first vice president of CAF and DR Congo FA boss Constant Omari. It's also noteworthy that this man in May 2019 used CAF money to fund his daughter's wedding and also fully funded the attendance of 7 CAF Exco members to the ceremony in Kinshasa. It remains to be seen if he will also go under investigation. The second implication of Ahmed's ban is toward the CAF elections that are slated for March next year. The frontrunners therefore become Patrice Motsepe, founder of Mamelodi Sundowns and also a South African billionaire, Ahmed Yahya, the FA president of Mauritania, and Augustin Senghor, the FA president of Senegal. There's also Jacques Anouma, former FA president of La Côte d'Ivoire.
As Gary Al-Smith assessing the implication of Ahmad's ban on next year's CAF presidential election, it appears that when it comes to CAF, the scandals continue unabated. That's your sports.
One day, one scandal for CAF. Well, thank you very much, Hans Mensando. Now to Safety for My Vote, our series focusing on hotspots in our communities. We make a stop in the Savannah region where there are 129 hotspots. It's been in the news this year for at least 2 cases of violence against women, one of which died. There are also growing concerns about insecurity as armed robbery and political violence emerge. Correspondent Isaac Nonya's report read to you.
Until it was carved out of the then northern region, the Savannah region has been considered one of the most peaceful areas with minimal security breaches. These mostly bordered in chieftaincy disputes. As elections draw closer, 129 hotspots have been identified by the police. With this in mind, one of the topmost security concerns for residents here in Damango in the West Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, increasing armed robberies.
It is very rampant, very common, almost day in, day out. We hear cases about armed robbery cases
and violence against women in the region.
In terms of security breaches, you talk about these alleged witchcraft issues. The poor, vulnerable women, they are those that these issues are always, they always suffer from these accusations.
Isaac Nonya's report on our Safety for My Vote series. Later on, we'll hear from the Savannah Regional Police Command on measures put in place. Now, Journalist of the Year, Samson Ladia Nyenene, says Ghana does not need to create any new institution or enact new laws to fight corruption. He's been speaking at a lecture organized by the One Ghana movement on the theme, Is the Fight Against Corruption a Myth?
I have reviewed the operations of our anti-corruption institutions and over a dozen of our anti-corruption legislations. We sincerely do not need to continue on the path of passing more laws and setting up more institutions, especially after the OSP and the right to information laws. So I say the corruption fight will not achieve much if the contracts protection law is not used to prosecute offenders. This is a scant but monstrous 6-sectioned, one-page law crafted to exact high-quality execution of government-sponsored infrastructural contracts and service delivery. A violation, especially making fraudulent payments, attracts a refund of up to 3 times the value of the contract.
That's Journalist of the Year and Private Legal Practitioner Samson Ladi Anyenene. And just before we go, Mapitso Sibidi, comfortably seated with Showbiz. What's up?
All right, so you know Shatawale has been complaining that Stoneboy hasn't been answering his WhatsApp messages. Well, Stoneboy had a response for Shatta.
The last time I checked, no.
Yeah.
I mean, is he who was supposed to reply my WhatsApp. But that's even cool, you know what I mean? And I think the way he said I don't answer his call, they're having a nice conversation.
But is it true you don't answer his call?
Oh, no. I don't because like me and Shatta are not like R2Bs, like Moogies and Payday yet. True. Listen to my English. I put yet over there. It's a process. But me and him are cool. But as for the call, dear, I beg. The last time I checked, it be me safe. If you guys do, I go put screenshots. Sometimes, we don't like that one way. Shatta, if they go interview with it, ask me about you. Say it's nice things like the way I'm saying nice things, eh?
And that's it for Showbiz Emefa.
Thank you very much, Mapito. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news, of course, when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I bet you've enjoyed our Facebook Live as well. Subsequently, we'll bring you more. I am Emefa Apawu, and of course, Habits Part 2 with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up next.